All right, halftime, and it's 66-58. There's so much to talk about because, the Nuggets have David Adelman as their interim coach, Rick
Yep.
Adelman's son. The Nuggets have really been struggling. They're only 11-13 since the All-Star break, Ryan. They've lost 4 in a row. They've also had some pretty nice leads during this losing streak, and they have not been able to hang on. Right now, they're up by 8. I expected the Kings to get off to a slow start, Ryan, because of their long road trip. And in the first quarter, they were outscored by 8 points. But I like the way they've been playing. Both teams are shorthanded. No Jamal Murray, no Monk. This could be a hell of a second half.
Yeah, it really could be, Grant. The offense in the half court has been the problem for the Kings. The Nuggets are doubling DeRozan, doubling Levine, and
Yep.
a lot of dribbling and stagnation.
Yeah, and the game plan, obviously, right now, without Keegan Murray and without Malik Monk, is to try to contain DeRozan and Levine. Easier said than done, but really, the Nuggets have done a pretty good job on this. And I want to ask you, we don't watch the Nuggets play every night,
Mm-hmm.
but this looks more of the Denver Nuggets that I'm accustomed to seeing, right? Like the way they played in that first half in terms of body language and everything else. This did not look like a team that's like, oh, you know what? We're in turmoil. They just fired our coach. We don't care anymore. That's not what this team looked like.
No, it didn't. And they're getting production and really aggression from places that usually Jokic sparks. Usually he's the one setting these guys up. Christian Braun, Porter Jr., Aaron Gordon, they're getting themselves going, Grant. And I thought that Coach Adelman said something very interesting before the game, and I'll kick this to you. He talked about maybe a change in the way the team was being talked to in the locker room, a different type of voice, and maybe that makes a difference.
Michael Malone is an old school coach. Michael Malone doesn't get caught up in, well, this is the way you have to do things because it's a new generation and you got to baby the guys. And I'm obviously, that's a figure of speech, but there's a lot to that now. That's why you're seeing so many former players get an opportunity, such as JJ Redick
Sure.
and in Sacramento, Doug Christie and others, because of their connection and their dialogue with the players. Michael doesn't care about that. Michael's going to call you out both publicly and privately. He's going to get in your face. And if he hurts your feelings too bad, deal with it. That's Michael Malone.
So is there an expiration then on Michael Malone? You're good with him for about 10 years. It's time to move on.
Well, let me first of all get to
Yeah.
Amir's super chat
Wow.
donation. Wow. Thank you, buddy. We appreciate you. You're the best. Thank you very much.
Wow.
Um, yeah, wow is right.
You
Yes,
threw us
there is
off,
an
Amir.
yeah, there is an expiration date. There is because, well, first of all, in all sports, with a rare exception, coaches have a shelf life. They have a shelf life,
Mm-hmm.
right? And what's the thing that we hear a lot? Well, they just needed a new voice in the locker room. Doesn't mean that the coach that was there is not doing a good job, but it's going in one ear and out the other. And that's why coaches lose their jobs, even when they've been successful, like Michael Malone.
Yeah,
And by the way, Michael Malone will have a job in 5 minutes if he wants.
Yeah, you win a championship. You get that from Michael Malone. And Grant, you know this better than anybody. They're a big family. They're together as much as they are with their own families.
No question. It is an extended family. And I lived it for 32 years, and there's a lot to that. And here's the other deal. Unlike a football team, a basketball team, you only have 13, 14, 15 guys in a locker room and it doesn't take much to fracture the locker room or have things go awry. And one bad apple, and I'm not talking about the coach, but one bad apple on a basketball team can derail everything.
Yeah, there's no doubt about that. Smaller group to rot out if you got one
Yeah.
of those.
So Aaron Gordon, to me, one of the big differences in this game with not having Keegan Murray is Aaron Gordon. And we've seen Aaron Gordon play so well against Sacramento. And Murray missed the home game against Denver the last time they played, if I'm not mistaken. And,
Yeah.
Aaron Gordon's a big part of the Nuggets' success. And when he plays well, they normally play well.
Well, in this era, basketball isn't every team and Aaron Gordon away. He's kind of entitled that now. And he is playing well, Grant. And I think the Kings, though, can improve on what they're doing with him and some of the other guys. The Kings have been great in transition in the first half, both offensively, defensively, a little bit worse. But Grant, they got to be more physical than this. This is too much space when you are playing a team like the Denver Nuggets. You got Russell Westbrook right here. Look at all the space between him and Valanciunas. Same thing. Here's your Bulldog, Devin Carter, guarding Russell Westbrook. You are just letting a sharp shooting quarterback drop back and decide where they want to go. So you got to check up, get up a little bit more in their grills, and make those passes more difficult to your Aaron Gordons and your Michael Porter.
You know, that's a very good illustration, but you also need to point out, and I know you have in the past, and we have, teams give Westbrook the space on the perimeter because they want him to shoot because he's not a good shooter. And what's Westbrook's biggest attribute? Getting to the basket.
Right.
And blowing by you with dribble penetration. And there's a fine line between what you were just saying, and you're right, passing lanes and giving someone too much room. That was way too much room. That's just way too much room.
Yeah, it is way too much room. And even from a scoring sense, Westbrook has hurt the Kings this year, 20.3 points per game. So, yeah, you want him to shoot the three. But even if you just look here with Porter and DeRozan, Porter can just spring anytime he wants right by DeRozan down that baseline. And that's a simple pass. So little adjustments like that, I think, will make a big difference here in the second half.
You know, when you look at the front line of Denver, think about this, 14 for Gordon and Porter each. And you had the Joker with 10. So, you know, you talk about Aaron Gordon and Michael Porter. They not only scored, they shot a high percentage. That's going to have to change a little bit here in the second half if the Kings are going to win this game.
Yeah, I think you really got to force Nikola Jokic to beat you. He's only scored 10 points. In fact, you had 3 Nuggets in double digits when he only had 2 assists during the second quarter. So make him make some plays and try to get this thing wild, because Grant, the Kings did great from a bench production standpoint, 17-9 in bench points. Do you expect the same from Doug McDermott here in the second half?
No, I really don't, but he's the type of player, and we saw that earlier in the year, I believe at Denver, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah,
where
brought him back.
You know, so you hope so, because they're going to need it, Ryan. Let's talk about Malik Monk now. He's gone for this week and the play-in. And, you know, Malik has had a very seesaw season. I think we would agree. It's been up and down. But he has that ability. He has the ability to come off the bench and score 30. And more often than not, he can do that. You're missing that now. And I think that we need to talk about, this is not just a small loss for the Kings. This is significant.
No doubt about it. And the Kings, we should say too, are in the exact same position they were this time last year. Malik Monk, a couple 3 weeks out with only a couple games to go. It's going to be by committee, in my opinion. It's not going to be Terrence Davis. It's not going to be one person. You got to have a group, but that's where I go back to the starters. You can't rely on your bench to pick this team up. This starting unit needs to be better. And Grant, I think they need to play more of a Zach LaVine pace rather than a DeMar DeRozan pace. In the end of that second quarter, DeMar DeRozan pace.
Well, and I want to talk to you about Zach LaVine. 22 minutes in that first half. He played, I mean, over 40 minutes in the last 2 games. And it's just like, you have to ask yourself, like, is this going to bite you at some point here sooner rather than later?
I don't think you can worry about it at this point. He's shown this season that he can stay on the court, and you got 4 games guaranteed to you right now. So you play him what you need to play him and hope that nothing bad happens.
Well, the Kings are a play-in. They've already clinched it. Even if they lose all 3 games, they're probably going to be hosting the Mavericks. So personally, I don't like it. I think it's way too many minutes.
Well, that's why I said 4 games. You've got the 3 left in the play-in. That's what's in front of you. You can't go anything past it. I will say this, Trey Lyles looks much better tonight. Now getting a little bit of rest because he played heavy minutes coming off the road trip, Grant.
And he had 18 minutes of action tonight and 9 points. 66-58. Denver, this is a bigger game for Denver than it is for Sacramento. This game for the Denver Nuggets, when you look at the standings in the West, is huge for all the reasons that we just mentioned with David Adelman and everything else. But I got to tell you, you look at the standings in this Western Conference right now. If you don't think that every game really matters, look at what the battle is to be a top 6 team right now, Ryan. You've got the Clippers, the Nuggets, the Warriors, the Grizzlies, and Timberwolves all fighting for 3 guaranteed playoff spots, and the other 2 will have to be a play-in team. That's huge.
It's massive, and we're talking about quality teams for the most part. Memphis losing Jalen Wells last night on a terrifying
Huge.
fall. Glad that he is okay, minus the wrist. But you're going to be seeing some good teams in the play-in. That 7-8 game makes you say, Grant, is it fair to have a 7-8 game? The best 8
Well,
teams deserve to be in.
the team right now that I think is in the most precarious position are the Memphis Grizzlies, because I could see them being a real quick out and not even make it into the top 6. And in order for that to happen, assuming that they're 7 or 8,
Right.
the 9th or 10th place team would beat them and go in as the 8th seed. And I just, to me, right now, if you're looking at how can the Kings possibly win 2 games, in my opinion, their best chance of winning 2 games, obviously you have to win the first against Dallas, assuming it's Dallas. Give me Memphis in that second game. Give me Memphis over any of those other teams. I don't want to see Golden State. I don't want to see the Clippers. I mean, could the Kings beat them? Yeah, but I mean, let's be realistic here. I don't want to see Minnesota.
Right.
Sacramento at Memphis for the right to go on in the playoffs. DeRozan and Levine always play well against Memphis. They always have. That would be a really advantageous position to be in my opinion, compared to playing any of the other teams.
Undoubtedly, I think you hit the nail on the head. That is the route for the Kings to make it to an 8 or a 7-game series. You're equipped with the tools as the roster sits to deal with Memphis a little bit better, especially
Yes.
if you're going to be playing IJ some minutes, Devin Carter on Ja Morant. That's where you want. That team's fallen. That team is fractured, and you've proven that you can play well in Memphis in the past. In fact, the Kings had a lead before that long clock break or the malfunction earlier
Yep.
in the season in Memphis.
All right. Again, at the half, it is 66-58. And this is going to be a fun second half. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. What do you think? Who's going to win this game?
I think Denver is going to win this game. I'm going to say 117-109.
And we talk about, I'll get to my pick in a minute, about Zach LaVine. 4 turnovers in that first half. The team only had 6. That's an issue with Zach too.
The team needs to do a better job of making sure the ball is not in Zach LaVine's hands as a facilitator. He needs to be a scorer. Jerry said it. If he touches the leather, the ball needs to go up. So that's on the coaching staff as well.
All right, I'm going to say the Kings win at 120-119. The Nuggets have not been able to hold on the leads during this rough stretch. And I think the place will be jumping here in the second half. Ryan, appreciate it. We look forward to having everyone on right after the game. Don't forget to give us a call on the post-game show. We'll be back in a little more than an hour. Bye-bye now.